About scalability, I mean, we as a company really started in 1990, okay, at $1 million revenue number. This year we'll close at about $3 billion. We scaled up. We went into 23, 24 different countries. You know, we tried to spread ourselves, de-risk ourselves as we thought, as widely as we could. Of course, once in a while, a country like Libya blows up in your face, so that de-risking doesn't turn out to be so appropriate. But coming back to the point, I think one of the mistakes or one of the unique features of the Indian system is the trajectory that an Indian entrepreneur takes effectively is he gets his business up to a particular level, which is highly profitable. Then he starts looking at scale. And what does he do? He invites a McKinsey, a Bain, a Accenture to come in and help him try to figure out how to scale up. And then they go about hiring these people and that people and the other people. And what they don't realize is, and including ourselves, I'm talking about personal experience, you suddenly bloated your overhead. Your profits, which were running at 20, 30%, suddenly start vanishing, get whittled down by default. And while you've been building out the scalable model, okay, the 20 other competitors have come in and crowded the same space that you occupied. Okay? So in India, you've got to be really nimble and keep your eyes on every side of your head to really be able to figure out what's going on, okay, in every space that you've got. When you look at technology, you have a different point. Okay, that yes, it's true, the TCSs, the Infosys should have put a lot of money, capital behind R&D to create products, next generation. But in most other businesses, all right, where we've got scale, but we don't have the bottom line now. So now we're scrambling, trying to find out which of those McKinsey recommendations and Bain recommendations do we cut and chop to go back to where we were. So it's a ironical situation in the Indian context. In the US, for example, you probably have 10 relevant EPC contractors. In India, you probably have 100 relevant EPC contractors for a market that's, in terms of overall spend, is 1/10 that of the US, even today. So it's something to be looked at very, very tentatively. You've got to be careful about that.
Absolutely. One question I would ask you, because you built the company there, is there's this common tendency to try and find the lowest common denominator. What really works? Keeping an eye on the profitability, people try to focus too much on, what's the minimum that I need to do to be relevant in that space, which is a question that I don't hear entrepreneurs here talking about. People here talk about, if I'm competing with 20 people, the first thing that entrepreneur, my portfolio entrepreneur would say is, let me pivot out of there. Let me do something separate. I'm not going to be a part of this bloodbath. And I find innovation comes out of there, right? I mean, Twitter we all use didn't exist. It didn't start up as Twitter. It was a different entity that actually became too competitive. There was no real money in there, and they pivoted out of there because they forced themselves to not be happy with, just a, it's an okay company. But the entrepreneur said, no, if there's 20 people here, it's no longer interesting. It's a bit like, when you have a restaurant and there's 20 other people open up restaurants, you just don't just keep going.
We did exactly that by spinning out into 24 different geographies.
Exactly.
So we did